10 Republicans joined House Democrats in the vote to impeach President Donald Trump for the second time over the insurrection on Capitol Hill. So what happens next in the impeachment process?
And what does the future hold for the Republican Party? Joining us with his insight is Republican political strategist Matt Klink. Matt, good morning. Good to see you.
Hi, Jessica. Good morning.
Good morning. So let's talk about the impeachment first. Senator Mitch McConnell has signaled and communicated that he's not going to bring the Senate back into session until January 19th. That would be the day before the inauguration. What happens next here? And walk us through how an impeachment trial would work for a president who's no longer in office.
Well, that's a great question. There is some disagreement among legal scholars about whether the Senate is even able to hold a trial on someone who is no longer president. So there will literally be the debate before the debate. But in a larger sense, Joe Biden doesn't want an impeachment hearing to mess up his first 100 days in office.
On the House side, there was effectively no trial. There was opening statements, several statements from both sides, and then they moved right to the vote. The Senate will be different. It's everything that I've read suggested that the shortest time period might be a couple of weeks. Do you have a sense that while 10 Republicans did vote in favor of impeachment on the House side, is there a different appetite on the Senate side amongst the Republican conference?
Well, there will clearly be some Republican senators that would vote to impeach. Case in point would be Mitt Romney, who voted for the first impeachment. And Lisa Murkowski, the senator from Alaska, has indicated the same thing. But whether the 17 Republicans would cross the line and do that, I think that that's a very high bar. And again, this is after the debate over whether the Senate can even do this happens. So, I mean, we're looking at weeks, maybe months. And then if you listen to Mr. Clyburn in the Senate or in the House, he said that they could potentially hold on to this for until after the first 100 days, which kind of alleviates the urgency to get Donald Trump out of office.
And so we'll have a Democrat-led Senate with Vice President Kamala Harris being that tie-breaking vote. That's after next Wednesday. Is it likely that President Trump will get convicted this time around? And what would the consequences be to that, especially if he is no longer in office?
I would just say, reading the tea leaves, that it's very unlikely that he will be convicted by the United States Senate. And that, that, again, there's a question about whether the Senate can even hold a trial for someone who is no longer in office. If he were to be convicted, the point that the Democrats and some Republicans want to make is to make sure that Donald Trump can never run for office again. I think that ship has sailed, that his brand, he may be popular with some of the Republican base, but I don't think that he will be, his future in the Republican Party is minimal.
Well, let me ask you about that. As a Republican political strategist, how has this affected your clients? And what is the concern amongst the folks that you represent or help to get elected about the future, and how, what is their base moving forward?
Well, every party experiences a crisis of conscience when you no longer hold the top spot. Now, granted, this year will be a little bit more extreme for the Republicans, but I've said for quite some time, Donald Trump is not the cause of the division in America. Donald Trump is the result of the division in America. The 63 million voters that voted for him in 2016 and 74 plus million in 2020, they still have these concerns that someone in the Republican Party will attempt to bring under their wing. But the Republican Party does need to do some soul searching, and the strength of Donald Trump's personality, the good side and the bad side, is going to stick with the party and will be felt for a long time.
And Matt, this may be a question that you cannot answer, but 75 million people voted for President Trump. That's more than any Republican candidate ever. How many of those voters, after what happened last week, said, that's it, I can no longer defend the president? Those Republican voters may have never really liked his personality from the beginning, but they liked his policy. How do you feel that shakes out after what happened last week?
Well, I haven't seen any polling data on that, but clearly some Republicans that did vote for Donald Trump have moved away from him out of just disgust over what happened last week. But there is a solid core that, one, there's the strength of Donald Trump's personality, that's who they were voting for. But there's I think, a larger swath that likes some of the policies that he pursued. 3 Supreme Court justices, 200 plus conservative judges, the wall. Again, it's divisive, but some people like that. And the challenge will be is which Republicans, plural, will be able to capture some of those Trump voters or a chunk of those from 2022 going on, because the race for president really begins now and people are already jockeying for a position.
All right, Matt, we appreciate your insight as always. For more information on Republican strategist Matt Klink, you can go to klinkcampaigns.com or you can follow him on Twitter. Thanks again to Matt.